So what do you guys think? Beautiful, right? It's beautiful, right? Can you imagine living in this back in the day when, the distillery was up and running and being able to look out of your window and just see this beautiful distillery that you practically built? I mean, it must have been amazing. This was used as a parlor, so he held a lot of big parties here. He was really famous for having a bunch of people in his home. People would bring their children here, and of course I'm sure that they cracked open the good stuff and had a good time. But, this is where they did it. So just picture yourself sitting in this room while a big party's happening and Colonel Blanton's walking around and saying hello to everybody. And it must have been really cool. But today, all that happens here is, of course, office work, but then a lot of little paranormal things. So one thing I will say is that everything that's happened in this building, it's been all playful. It's been the tug of shirts and playing of hair and footsteps. It's never been anything sinister or demonic or anything like that. It's all been playful. So I'm just going to tell you some stories of things that our employees have experienced and what the ghost hunters experienced. And, you can take it for what it is, but I definitely think that there's a lot happening here, and so do a lot of other people. So our administrative staff that works here will tell you that one thing that they hear a lot is the chiming of a clock. And one thing that we were able to confirm is that Colonel Blanton used to have a clock, a big old-timey clock that sat right there in that corner. And that's exactly what they hear, is the chiming of a clock. Another thing that they'll hear a lot is like singing or humming or whistling. And there was a lady who worked here when this was still a home, things like that. She worked at the distillery and things like that. And there was a maid that worked here who was famous for singing and whistling while she worked. So that was something that we were able to confirm, and that would freak me out. I would just leave, but they say that they just sing along and make a joke out of it, and usually it stops. Whatever. So, it can be hard to, all of the tour guides have their different stories, but one thing I will say, just in my short time of doing this, is I noticed that it can be hard when you're telling stories, and you can tell that people are distracted and things like that, and you can usually sense it, when people get bored or things like that. And there was one tour guide who was doing his thing, and he's a really great tour guide, so usually people are very into his tours, and he noticed that a lady sitting right where that guy right there is sitting. Hi, sir. And she was sitting there, not listening to anything that he was saying, and she's playing with her phone. And her phone is pointed at the staircase over here. And it was like she would smile and do her head like this. And he was like, what is she doing? And he thought, she was just bored and playing on her phone. So finally, he realized about halfway through, no, she's doing something. What is she doing? And, we really like the interaction of customers. So he finally says, ma'am, is there something, are you getting something? Is there something you would like to share? And she says, no, it's okay, just continue, I'm sorry. And she puts her phone down. And he was like, no, this is what we're here for. We want to hear your story. What are you experiencing right now? And she said, well, was there a little girl that died on the property? And he was like, yeah, we have 2 confirmed that had died on the property. Why? And she said, well, there's a little girl at the top of the stairs, and I've been playing peekaboo with her for about 10 minutes now. I get chills. So another one that I really liked, gave me super chills when I very first started. There was a tour guide giving a tour, and again, when people have experiences, we welcome them to tell us about them or show us their photos. Oh no, wait, let me back up and give you some context to this story. So Colonel Blanton's wife was this high-class woman. She always had her hair done, and she always wore really nice clothing, and, she held her public image very well. And, of course, a lady never smokes in public. So it would be unbefitting of her to smoke in public. So, of course, she did it upstairs in her powder room. So one thing that a lot of people sense in here, they'll walk in and say that they smell cigarette smoke. No smoking allowed on this premise, and of course no one smokes in the building especially, but in the short time I've been here, I've had people walk through those doors and say, it smells like cigarette smoke in here. So they'll smell the smoke. And one tour guide, this is a story that we tell, and one tour guide was telling this story, and afterwards she had one of the visitors come up to her, and the visitor said, you know, I don't want to scare you, and that's when I would have said, then don't. And she said, there's a woman standing next to you. She's not mad, but she's very disappointed that you're telling people her secret. I thought she might be standing up there real quick. But, you know, some of the other things that people have experienced, you know, we had one tour guide that was telling stories over here, and he felt somebody tug his arm. One thing that the administrative staff report a lot are the chairs. So when we leave this room, you'll notice that we straighten the chairs. You know, they are a certain way. I mean, this is a pretty nice meeting room, right? So we don't like the chairs all. So they'll be sitting there and hear the chairs move. And that was something that the ghost hunters picked up a lot too, was the moving of chairs and, you know, the hutch in there, like them opening and shutting, that sort of thing. So a lot of little things happen. One picture that you'll see downstairs, sorry if I'm scaring your puppy, but there's a ghost dog here. Just let you know. We call him Ghost Dog. Maybe he can sniff them out for us. I don't know. But one guest took pictures of the staircase, and when she developed the picture, there was a dog in the picture that wasn't there. And that picture is downstairs, and you'll get to see it. But we call it Ghost Dog. And Colonel Blanton did have a dog, and we have a picture of his real dog. And the ghost dog and his real dog look just alike. So take that for what you will. But with that, we're going to head down to the basement.